Hello, everyone. I am Joan Dixon, the Director of Student Programs at Gulf Coast South Area Health Education Center. It's a really long name, so you might just know us as AHEC. We're here today for another fantastic career chat video, but first I want to remind you about all of our free student programming that we offer to you in our 4-county service area in Florida. We cover Charlotte County, DeSoto County, Sarasota County, and Manatee County. You're welcome to watch our Health Careers video presentation that we have on our website. All of the career chat videos, like the very one we're bringing to you today. We also offer health career camps during the summertime. I work with HOSA partnerships within the school to help prepare them for their regional, state, and international competitions. We have an intern program like my intern Megan that I'm going to introduce you to in just a second. And then we have a graduate level program for college students to teach them all about public health. That's our AHEC Scholars Program. And you can see on the screen here, we have all the contact information you need to get a hold of me, my phone number, my email address, our web address, everything you could need to get more information on our free student programming. Next, I would like to introduce my intern for this summer, Megan. Megan, go ahead and say hi to the crowd.
Hi, everyone. My name is Megan Slabaugh, and I am a current master's student at Grand Canyon University in their public health program. I am also an intern at Coast South Area Health Education Center, so I am really happy to be here. Today, we are having a guest speaker, and his name is Dr. Ron Marshall. He is a licensed chiropractor who is currently operating out of Navarre, Florida, with his own practice called Marshall Family Chiropractics. We will begin with a brief little intro video of a career in a day in the life of a chiropractor.
My name is Dr. Randy Lee Choi. I'm a chiropractor at the Massage and Treatment Clinic. So as a chiropractor, we use physical therapies and physical treatments to help our patients with disorders of the musculoskeletal system and injuries of the back and all of the joints of the body. Here I work about 4 to 5 hours a day because I'm part-time. I treat between 5 to 12 patients per day. I would get to the clinic, I would set up my room, make sure everything's ready. Then the first patient would come in. I treat patients every half an hour. My initial treatment slot is about an hour, so sometimes I have a new patient. So depending on the day, if I have a new patient, it's an hour, and if I have just a follow-up, it's every half an hour. So, how are you feeling?
Not bad. I had a massage yesterday.
Okay.
But I'm very tender all up in
Still
like
under
the
clavicles?
whole area.
Mm-hmm.
It's very bad in here. She put the laser on, and then the same here in the
They put
clavicle.
laser like for
She
the
put
movement?
laser this area,
Yeah.
Julie.
Yeah.
And then we worked on the neck and shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
The right lower back. I had a 10-hour car ride, so I'm a little messed
Sore?
up. Yeah. And then just the regular rib injury is a
Okay.
little tender.
Okay.
It's the same.
So after the massage, you felt better though?
I felt much better. I laid
Okay.
down for a while.
Yeah.
Then this morning I felt it kind of release a little bit. It
Okay.
felt like I could stretch a little more, but I went a little too far and then I was stuck in one position.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm trying not to move it too much because
Yeah.
it's very tender.
Okay.
But they said the massage would help with the
Yeah.
chiro.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's always nice to have a fit right before the
right,
chiropractic.
loosens
Yeah.
it up and stuff. So.
Yeah, exactly. And how was our last treatment
Great.
together? Yeah. So
Feel
you felt
really good.
Okay. So I treat back to back. And then at the end of the day, I will do my filing. Each person is a specific SOAP note, which is the details of the treatment and what you did and your diagnosis every day. As a chiropractor, I use a variety of skills. So I typically, chiropractor use spinal manipulation, or what's also called chiropractic adjustments. I do soft tissue therapies. I do joint mobilizations. I use an adjusting tool called an activator.
I'm just going to do the other side there. Could you also just do that there?
I am going to do it, yeah. I'm going to do that. Don't worry.
Thank you very much.
I also provide patients with exercises, and I do all the physical modalities like using laser, ultrasound, and muscle stimulation as well. Let's get you to stand up since it's been a while since I've seen you. So the right performance is feeling much better though, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's get you to go face down. I'm going to feel around a little bit more. I just want to see how University of Ottawa. I took human kinetics, so I have a Bachelor of Science bracket human kinetics. That's a 4-year program, honors program. And then I went to the Canadian Memorial Chiropractic College. It's in Toronto. It's a 4-year program. You get a Doctor of Chiropractic. It's 3 years of 40 hours a week and 1 year of internship where you're working in student clinics treating patients. I would say definitely get a background in some form of science or human body science because it's a pretty intense course. So having some anatomy, physiology to go along with it is very important. Listen to the business course because you get really taught well your technical skills and all the sciences behind it. But there's a small course with about marketing, and a lot of people that are chiropractors want to own their own business. So it's definitely something that you really need. If you want to know more about chiropractic or another career,
All right. So for a lot of people, whenever they think of chiropractic care, they think of bones cracking and crushing. And a lot of time that there's a lot of fear associated with chiropractic care. So in a day and age where pharmaceuticals are the go-to for treatment and pain relief, I think it's really important for individuals and others in the community to be educated and knowledgeable about all forms of treatment and the value that they also bring to the healthcare system. So without further ado, Dr. Ron Marshall will do just that and give us an inside scoop on chiropractic care and why it is such a bone crushingly cool field to get into. So are we ready? All right, so Mr. Ron, could you please tell me what is a solid job description for a chiropractor?
I am a musculoskeletal specialist. I am somebody that looks at the human body and finds what the dysfunction is in the human body and corrects that by hand. I'm all hands on. I don't use instruments, but I'm looking at a body from a biomechanical and kinesiology aspect and finding what's not functional and trying to restore function by manually manipulating the human body.
Incredible. I really like that description of it. I really liked that. So you said that you didn't use any tools. So there were a couple tools that we saw in that video.
Right.
Have you ever worked with them or?
I am the little tool that she was using is called an activator, and I'm nationally certified to use the activator. For me, I'm old school chiropractic. I want my hands on it. I want to feel it. Like for me, it's a little more objective, knowing I felt it move rather than relying on tool. And I know there's a ton of chiropractors that make fantastic results using this stuff. For me, there's a lot of different chiropractic techniques, and that's just a different technique that people use. So
right.
Different way to get things to put things back in place.
Interesting. So do you have any tools that you use in your office?
Not specifically. I'm the tool. I try to use my brain as one, which we'll see how that goes. But I have a couple special tables, but it's more for patient comfort. And when I lay them down, and I have tables, I have visuals, but I have a table back here it's mechanical, and it basically all it does is go up and down. It's a very expensive elevator ride for patients, but that's about it as far as tools go. I do have one diagnostic tool that I use. It's called a nervoscope. It's basically a thermocouple, and it reads temperature difference between two probes, and I will run that on every patient. I will run all the way up the neck, and then I pull the shirt up in the back, and I'll run it all the way down the back, and it reads temperature difference in the skin. On the 31 pairs of nerve roots that are exiting the spine, they're hyper delicate, and so if one is irritated in any way by traction or pinching or whatever, running that scope down will show me exactly where that pressure is. So it's cheating a little bit, but it directs me into exactly where the problem is.
Cheating but cool. Cheating but cool.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So where do you work, and can you tell me a little bit about the atmosphere?
I work in Navarre, Florida. I'm in it's a bedroom community a little bit. It's between the two biggest military bases on the planet, the Pensacola Naval Air Station to my west and Hurlburt Field, which is a huge special ops Air Force base, and then Eglin Air Force Base, which is the biggest Air Force base land-wise in the world. I'm right in the middle of the two of those. So a lot of transitioning families. It's right at the beach, and it's a resort town. It's beautiful. The beaches look like snow. I mean, the sand is white and the water's crystal clear blue, and it's beautiful. My office, as you know, my office manager is very directly related to you. So she runs the place, and I tell everybody she's my office wife. I've been working with Megan's mom. For people who don't know, she runs my office, and has been doing so. We've been friends for 16 years, between from soccer and stuff. But she runs the place, and she's not my employee. We just work together.
Yes.
So,
Yes. The glue that holds it together.
yeah, and it's just the two of us. I have two massage therapists that work in my office, and I have an audiologist that rents a room from me. So it's we call it the bounce house. It's pretty laid back, and people come in, basically crippled and walk out happy. So it's a cool place.
Well, that's actually perfect and flows right into the next question, with me asking about the different kinds of healthcare professionals that you do work with. So I do know that there are a few that you have in your office that you actually compound your treatments with.
I do. Most chiropractors that I know incorporate some sort of physical therapy in their practice, doing interferential therapy, ultrasound work like that. I don't. I am an old school chiropractor. It's a fun enough job and a rewarding enough job that I don't try to water down what I do with my patients. If I've got a patient that needs physical therapy, I have people that have doctorates in physical therapy that surround my area, and I refer those patients out. I go, I think I'm doing a disservice trying to do too many things in one clinic. So I know where my specialists are. I know who I refer out to. I have two massage therapists in here that are completely different in how they approach patient care. So depending on what I think a patient needs, I refer out to that.
Right. That's awesome. So what kind of patients, I know that you had said that you work with a lot of transitioning families, but what is kind of like your patient demographic?
If I studied the books, I would say it's probably 70-30 women to men. Women tend to like to stop and ask directions more than men. And it's same with healthcare. They like to, hey, I've got a problem, I want to fix it. And guys will like, I'll just run it out. Right. So it's probably 70-30, maybe 60-40. A lot of kids, and which people question, like, I can't believe you adjust kids. And I go, it's important. I adjusted my first daughter when she was 14 minutes old.
Wow.
It's important for their development. I work with the nervous system and restoring function. A little bit of pressure on the nervous system goes a long way. And especially when you're talking about the development of kids, as fast as their cells are dividing, as fast as they're growing, if there's pressure on the nervous system, if there's dysfunction anywhere, it's important. And right. If I can fix something by moving it rather than getting kids on drugs and covering up a discomfort or a dis-ease for the rest of their life, I go, that's my job. So I really push for that.
Right. And just to make sure that I heard that right, you said 14 minutes old? 14
minutes old. Yeah. She when she came out, we put her on Kara's breast to breastfeed, and she latched right on to one side. And I said, flip her over to the other side, and she would not latch on. We put her back this way. She latched right on. I go, sit her up. And we sat this little thing up, and I put my pinkies on her atlas, her very first cervical vertebra, and put about 5 pounds of pressure on that. And it just dropped right into place. And she stopped crying. She went right to both sides. She was fine. And I've adjusted her for everything since, yeah, I have 3 now. I have my second child came out as 2. So I have twins that are now 15 and national level gymnasts and football player. And I adjust them every, once a month. I keep things running that way.
Cool.
Yeah.
So tell me what a typical day in the life of Ron Marshall.
Typical day. I'm usually up by 5:30. I'm a widower now. I lost my wife about 1.5 years ago due to a long-term illness. So now I'm a single dad with three. My eldest is 21 and she's getting her master's in nursing, and then she's going to go on and get her PhD and be a nurse anesthetist. Another Dr. Marshall, God save the world. And my twins are 15 and in high school, and my son is a cheerleader now. He's a football player, he's a quarterback, and he's on a competitive cheer team because he was a national level gymnast. So he's killing life. My daughter plays lacrosse. I did my best to get her to play soccer, Megan, and she loves lacrosse, so she does that, and they both get straight A's. And so until about 7:30, I'm at home getting everybody ready and getting out of the house. Then I open up my doors typically at 8 o'clock, but patients usually line up about 7:30, and so I get here early and get in my early morning. I call them stragglers; they're the overachievers. And I adjust patients to the tune of at the busiest I get is I'll get two people every 15 minutes. And so about 7.5 minutes sounds like a short time, but it's not bad. It's perfect for what I need to do. And patient comes in, sits down, I run the scope on their back, talk to them about what's going on, find out about the family, how's everything going. I tend to be 50% counselor, 50% chiropractor. I know everything about everybody, and because there's a lot of life goes into what their body is dealing with. There's a lot of stress that causes a lot of issues. So I get into all that, but I adjust until 12, and then I take roughly 2.5 to 3 hour break, and I come back at 2:30 or 3, depending on what your mom schedules. I'll come back at 2:30 and work till 5 or 6. Thursdays usually my late night. I usually don't get out of here till 7:30 or 8, but I do go to 3 hour lunch every day, and I don't work Fridays. I do work Fridays, but I'm not officially open. I come in shorts and flip flops, and those patients I can't get in during the week, I said, you can't get mad at me for my hairy legs. Come on in, and I adjust on those days. And I'm usually super busy on Friday mornings for a couple hours, and then I have a 3-day weekend every weekend.
Incredible. Well, I would also just like to say that you did mention that you have like these kind of 7-minute increment
Yes.
appointments. But
Yes,
from what I have observed in your practice, and what I just think that absolutely separates it is the personable touch of you and the work that you do. So it never feels like just 7 minutes. It never.
I don't care how long you're in here. I don't care how long you're in here to get adjusted. If you need me, I'm here.
Right.
I really stresses me out when patients are waiting on me. So I don't like to call that my waiting room out there. That's my reception area.
Right.
I don't like people waiting on me. I've been to doctor's offices where I'm there for an hour and I still haven't gotten in my appointment. If you're 15 minutes past your appointment time with me, I'm stressed out in here, so there's an art to it. There's an art to taking care of people's hearts and taking care of people's minds at the same time you're taking care of their body, and it all goes together. So there's a balance there, and your mom is very good at it. We call it playing patient Tetris, because there are patients that are going to come in and talk.
Right.
There are patients that just lost their spouse, and I go, I can't have 15 minutes with this person, block off. And so we get really good at that. And then there are days I walk in and look at the schedule and look at your mom and go, what are you thinking? Like, you can't put all these people together. So there are days where I sit in here purposely with a cup of coffee and everything's very chill. And there are other days where I go, sit down, you can't talk, let's go. And I'm at that point. I see probably 20 new patients a week. And I'm just at that point where I'm busy enough. I go, listen, I will take care of you like you're my family. I will take care of you because I live in this small town and I know everybody. I know all the school teachers. I want you better. I will do whatever I can. I'll jump through hoops for you to be better. If you get mad at me for something, you can go somewhere else. I go, because truly, I'm going to take care of you with my heart. If you have a problem with something, I'll be happy to refer you somewhere else. It's a pretty cool atmosphere.
It is, and you do. Yeah. Truly, you guys do. So you kind of just touched on this, but how many hours of work do you average a day and a week, and how does that impact your personal life?
When I started, I interned with another chiropractor, and he did an hour for lunch every day, but he didn't work Fridays. And so he did 4 days a week, and he worked long hours. He worked, 7:30 to 6 at night, but he only worked 4 days a week. And he goes, I love my 3-day weekends. I interviewed his staff when I exited that office, and I said, what would you change? And they said, we would have a longer lunch, because we go 15 or 20 minutes into our lunch trying to finish up paperwork. And then there's 15 or 20 minutes before patients come back in, that we're stressed out. We're trying to get stuff done. So we have like a 10-minute lunch. And I go, okay, I'm going to do a 2-hour lunch. And so I did a 2-hour lunch every day. And I worked Fridays, and I worked half day Saturday, and that lasted about a week. And my wife and I looked at each other and go, this is insane. This is crazy. So I stopped working Fridays, and I worked long days, Monday through Thursday. And then my daughter started doing jujitsu, or she was in Hapkido at the time. And she was little, and it was Wednesday afternoon. And I went, I didn't go to school for all this time to I'm going to watch her. So then I did half day Wednesdays. That's why I'm doing this interview on Wednesday. I do half day Wednesdays because Bailey did karate. I go, I don't mind that I'm going to say I'm broke. I don't mind that I'm going to be broke doctor for the next 18 years. I don't care, because I want to spend time with my kids. So I make up my own schedule. My patients are super cool with it. I'm as busy as I want to be when I'm open. I take copious amounts of time off because that's what's important to me. I will jump through hoops to take care of you, but my family, they get my time too. And so I live 2 miles behind my clinic. Most of my patients end up with my cell phone. And I go, if you don't call me when you need me, I'll be really upset. If you call me when you don't need me, I'll be really upset. But I go, you have my number. If you need me, I have an electric skateboard. I'll ride my skateboard up to the clinic and just I do. It's very cool. But I go, I protect my time with my family. But on the other hand, if you need me, this is my job. This is who I am in this community. If you need something, you call me.
Right.
So
it sounds like you have really healthy boundaries around your work and your family.
I do, because my family's important, and they're all in travel sports, and we're all over the place. Like, your mom still leaves me half the time during the week because your little sister plays soccer in Georgia. And so she's like, hey, I'm not gonna be here Thursday. I go, what? So I have to run the place by myself. But she's like, hey, I'm going to this Thursday. Hey, I'm going to a family reunion. She just takes off whenever she wants. That's why she's not my employee. She's my best friend. And we do everything. She does whatever she wants because she takes care of me when she's here, and I take care of her when she needs to go somewhere else. So it's a cool relationship. I don't know if I answered your question.
You did.
But
okay. We went off a little, but you did say something within that last question that leads me to this. So you said something about you being a broke doctor. So is that a constant within the entire career field of chiropractic?
No, I listen, I'm probably I'll say I'm the brokest doctor in the area for sure. And there's a bunch of chiropractors in my area, but it just depends how you structure your practice. Now, another doctor that I worked with out in Destin, the guy I interned with, he sees about 150 people a day. And he's got it set up where he has dressing rooms that lead into his 2 adjusting rooms, and he's got assistants that set them up. But he sees 150 people a day on average for 4 days a week. And they're $50 a piece minimum. So I go, $50 times 150, whatever that comes out to. What is that? $6,000 a day?
Right.
Something. Okay, so $6,000 a day, and he doesn't take a whole lot of insurance, so it's cash. So he's making, what is it? Is it 600, 6,000? Probably. My math. You didn't should have had these questions done. But I mean, 4 days a week, you're talking, $24,000 a week. So in a month, he's making 100. He makes well over $1 million a year. Right. And all he does is chiropractic. He doesn't, he has some massage therapists that he has in there that you make more money off as well, because you get half of what they make, and that's passive income for him. So there's a ton of money to be made. It's a very lucrative career. I don't practice that way. I'm more, and 3 more years and my kids leave the house, I won't have anything else to do. I'll probably work more, and I'll come up here because this is my family. And I say that all the time. I go, I'll never retire. I have the coolest job in the world. I'm in shape. I'm fit because of what I do for a living. I work out just to stay in shape. And I come in here and I sit down and have coffee with my patients and shoot the breeze. And I go, what else would I do when I'm retired?
Right.
Probably end up at McDonald's having coffee with old patients. So I would go, I might as well have a practice. You know, anybody can do this. I can do this until I'm 100.
Right.
It's not a physically taxing job, but it keeps me in shape and it keeps me happy. So, yeah.
So what would you say would be like the starting salary for a chiropractor?
First year, well, if first year, if you get out and you're on your own, I've never made over $100,000 in a year, even my first year. You know, I made really good money. I mean, so, you know, here in on the beach in a resort town, where it's relatively inexpensive, and it's still, you know, I still easily brought in over $100,000. So I would think that would probably starting salary.
Yeah.
You know, and up from there.
Nice. That is very
Yeah,
nice.
not too bad.
So why did you choose chiropractic?
I was in the military prior to this. I was a special forces paramedic, and all my background was in trauma. And so I was getting out of the military. It was time. I started to question orders I was getting, where we were going, what we were doing. I started getting a little too political. So it was time for me to get out. I got tired of watching Jeopardy and not knowing answers on the, you know, I'm like, I need to further my education. So that was my impetus to get out. So I was in for 10 years, got out going back to school to be a trauma surgeon. And one of my flight surgeons, when I was in the Philippines, stationed in the Philippines, he is now the head neurosurgeon at the University of Hawaii Medical School. And I went surfing with him. He had a big ranch in Kauai. And I went surfing with him for 2 weeks as kind of a break in between semesters. And he said, man, you got to be a chiropractor. And I said, well, I play the guitar well, but I don't know about being a choir director. I don't know, like, what does that mean? I didn't know what a chiropractor was. And so I came back here to Navarre, and I started going to different chiropractic offices and asking chiropractors if I could shadow them for a day. And nobody would say yes. Nobody would say yes. And I finally found a guy in Fort Walton Beach that let me shadow him for half a day. And I watched what he did. And I listened to how he talked to patients. And in my head, I said, I'm coming back here and I'm going to take every one of your patients away from you. I don't like how you talk to your patients. I don't like the holier than thou kind of attitude that I got. And I go, anybody can do this job. You know, if you have some interest in the human body and the frame, anybody can do this. And school is just grit. It's, you know, but I go, I'm going to do this. And so that I got a degree in kinesiology and biomechanics from the University of West Florida, and then took a year off and went with my wife. She was a flight attendant with Northwest, and she got stationed in Detroit, which at the time I thought was not a good place for a beautiful, young, tiny little blonde lady. So I went with her for a year and waited tables. And then I went to chiropractic school, and 3 straight years of that, got my doctorate in chiropractic and another BS in anatomy and physiology in that process. And here I am.
Wow. Wow. Impressive, sir. Impressive digs. All right. So what would you say is most satisfying about your career, and what is the least satisfying about your career?
I think the least satisfying, I'll start with that. The least satisfying is probably just the business aspect of it. You know, the paperwork aspect of it, working for Medicare, like you always have a government agency looking over your shoulder. And so you have to make sure your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed, and everything's perfect all the time. But that's with any career. I mean, so I think that's, if I was a pilot, the most fun thing would be flying, and the worst part would be like doing the logbooks and stuff like that. I go, so that's it, probably the paperwork. The most satisfying is I have been doing this long enough that I don't care who walks in my clinic, I go, I'm helping you. And I don't care what you come in with. Matter has its limitations. You have patients come in, you're like, I can't fix. But there's not one person that ever walked into my office, I go, I can't enhance your life. Like, I'm gonna make things better. And so 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, somebody comes in. I love the patients that come in and go, I've been everywhere. The neurosurgeon said they couldn't do it. I'm like, I got this. When I look at them, they're halfway through their explanation of what's going on. I go, I already know what's going on. I got this. And I put what's going on with them in English. And I lay it out, and I put it in what they can understand. They're like, why does nobody talk to me like this? I go, because nobody knows what they're doing. Everybody's caught up in the bureaucracy of the medical system, of the healthcare system as it is today. And I go, this is what's going on. This is why, and this is what we're going to fix. And this is how we're going to keep this from coming back, period. It's easy. And I've been doing it, like I said, I've been doing it long enough now. It's just, I just smile at people. I'm like, what are you smiling about? I'm dying. I go, yeah, well, we'll fix it. You're not going to be in like 5 minutes. You're going to be, yeah. So I don't know. That's my thing. I love it. That's it.
I will say I am in the realm of those people that you have helped relieve some serious pain from and avoided me being on things like pharmaceuticals. So you definitely have made a huge difference for me and many other people in that way. So yeah. So what education? I know that you mentioned that you had gotten a bachelor's of science in kinesiology and biomechanics. Is that what you said?
Ma'am. Yes.
So what other education did you need in order to be where you're at right now?
I kind of went over the top a little bit on it. Chiropractic school, to get into one at the time, Parker in Dallas, required prerequisites. And most of the prerequisites were, it's pre-med basically. So any kind of science background degree that you can get, just like even an exercise science degree, as long as you have certain prerequisites that they need. Like I took a calc-based physics class that I didn't need. Oh man, didn't like that class. I could have taken a trig-based physics. So I took some over-the-top kind of classes because I was thinking I was going to med school, and I just needed some of the other ones. But at the time it was, and I think it's still the same way. You need to have at least a BS to be accepted in to chiropractic school. And then chiropractic school is med school. I mean, I ended up with more hours than if the general practitioner back here. I had about 30% more hours than he did in medical sciences. What we don't get is pharmaceuticals. We get more diagnosis, more orthopedics, more stuff like that, but we don't get the pharmaceutical aspect of that. But you end up with a heck of a medical education.
Interesting. Awesome, fascinating. And so you went to chiropractic school at Parker?
I went to Parker in Dallas, yes.
What was the atmosphere like there?
It was med school. I don't know how else to explain. Like I've been to other chiropractor schools that were, you knew you were at a chiropractic college when you were there. Parker was different. We all sat in one class and they rotated instructors in. And that's where I learned to drink coffee really well. It was early mornings and school all day, and then clinic when you got out of school, and then out of clinic at 7 p.m, home, eat dinner, go for a run, try to work out, and then study until 1 o'clock in the morning, and then back up at 5 and back at the school. So it was a solid 3 years with little 2-week breaks in between the trimesters, but it was a solid 3 years of medical education. It's 3 years of neurology, and everything's got an ology on the end of it, histology, and a 3 straight trimesters of biochemistry was my favorite thing ever. It was not my favorite thing ever. So yeah, it's you come out of there a lot smarter than you go in, for sure. And most of that stuff you don't use. And just like any medical school, once you specialize into what you're doing, you glom onto that. And so now I have a really good background in biochemistry and neurology and most of the stuff you don't use, but it allows me, I have enough knowledge in there to know where to find answers and where to send people if I need to send people somewhere different.
Right. Awesome. So did you pay for your school with the military?
I didn't. When I got into the military, they wanted half of my paycheck for the first year. And I go, I'm not putting money into that. You're not paying me enough. And so I didn't put money into that GI Bill. I didn't have anybody above me. I didn't have any people that outranked me telling me to do this. And so because I thought I'm never getting out of the military. What, I'm never going to school. I'm fine. I'm going to be a special forces paramedic forever. And so when I got out, I was on my own. So I waited tables in very nice restaurants to pay for all of my undergraduate degree and my apartment and this and getting married and like I said, I married Kara, who also waited tables and then became a flight attendant. So she made like $14 a year. So when I got to chiropractic school, they handed me a check and go, what's this for? Chiropractic school at the time for my 3-year education was $125,000. So that was a student loan that I got. And so some of that they took out to pay for school, and the rest of it, they gave me a check. They're like, this is for your apartment. This is for your food. Use it so you can study. And very much like what my daughter's looking at with CRNA school to be a nurse anesthetist. They're like, we're going to give you student loans because you're not going to work. You're not going to have time to work. You're going to do it. So a lot of my friends worked at the golf course and chiropractic school. They had little side jobs or to help pay for it. But I took the student loan and I just ran with it. And so, I paid that off as quickly as I could when I got out because it wasn't much. And chiropractic school now is about 250 grand for the 3 years or 4 years. So it's increased. It's doubled since I went in, 24 years ago. So
Wow, that's a big increase. That's a huge increase, actually.
yeah, it's education. But on the other hand, if you're getting out and on average you're making $200,000 to $300,000 a year, that's not a very big student loan. You knuckle down for your first 2 years and pay that off. So it's not too bad.
Right. And I completely agree. That's why we have student loans, is so we can use them. It's never a bad thing to cash those in. So I am in full support of that. I definitely
Yeah.
a few of my own
Yes.
that I accumulated. All right. So would you like to share a story about an interesting case that you have worked on, or somebody throughout your career that has touched you, made an impact?
Yeah. I've had a ton of interesting cases. I've had a ton of interesting cases, but the one that changed my life more than anything was my mom. Sorry, I'm gonna keep this together. My mom and dad lived in the middle of nowhere, Texas, outside of Abilene, which is 3 hours outside of Dallas. So they're in the middle of nowhere. And my dad was real active in the church, and so I couldn't get him to move here. Like, this is where your grandbabies are. Come on, you're going to watch your kids play a Christmas tree in the school play. You got to be here. And I couldn't get him to move here. And my dad was having back issues, and my mom was having. She had bilateral hip fractures, so they had screws in her femurs, in the head of her femurs, and they were working themselves out. The screws were. So every time my mom took a step, she was cutting herself. And so suffering these internal injuries. Now, my mom went to the hospital at one point. She went into the ICU because she had a lung condition. And she got what they call ICU psychosis. Now, this is a lady with 4 master's degrees, all in psychological discipline. She's the smartest woman I've ever run into. And I'm super proud of her. She was my mom. But she had what she called ICU psychosis, where she thought everybody in the ICU was trying to kill her. And my dad, who's a deacon in the Baptist church, is like trying to leave to go drive the hour home and back to change clothes, to get a shower and come back. And she's cussing him out for leaving her in the hospital. And like, he would call me crying, torn up, whatever. Like, it's not her, but it was when she came out of the ICU and we talked, she goes, it was tangible. Okay. I could touch it. It was real. It's this conspiracy, whatever they call it, ICU psychosis. And she goes, you know me, like, I'm not crazy, but it was real to me. And I'll never want to go back. So when my mom was in so much pain and they couldn't fix her, and my dad was having back issues, and he was going to go in and get fixed, and then she was going to put it off until he was done because one had to care for the other. And her medical doctor is slapping fentanyl patches on her to the point where she's now not functional and she can't eat. And my dad says, I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call EMS. You have to. And she's I can't go back. I can't go back. And my dad turned around to pick up the phone and my mom shot herself. Okay. So a whole lot went on from there. I know it's a deep story, man. I'm sorry. But every patient that walks into my office, I might be that last guy. Okay. Pain accumulates. People get worse. Nobody will take the time to sit down in front of the patient and go, what's going on with you? So I have old ladies that come in here that hobble into my office, and I sit down in front of them and I go, I got you. No matter what, I've got you. Like I'm going to make your life better. Like that touched me more than anything. Nobody was there for her. The doctors didn't give a crap about her. They just kept slapping drugs on her, and it was killing her. And so it changed my perspective on how I take care of patients. I mean, I think I take care of people with my heart, you know, but now I look at patients and I go, I got you. Okay. And that's why I go on 50% counselor, you know, because I sit and talk to patients and get into their life and try to figure out what's going on with them. So anyway, sorry about that. That was deeper than I thought I was going to go, but
thank you for sharing. That was incredible. And like I said earlier, I have actually never worked with a healthcare professional that I feel so truly seen and heard other than you. So yes, it is definitely shown.
I've loved you for a long time, Megan. Yeah.
For sure. So last question, what is the biggest piece of advice that you would give students interested in your career?
Do it. Like I have always been the redheaded step. I'm sorry, I'm moving all around the office. I've always been the redheaded stepchild of the medical community. Okay. And that goes back a long ways just because of what I do. I'm actually trying to fix people. Like I said earlier, matter has its limitations. Like there's some things I can't fix. I can't ever not take somebody and make their life better. Like I always have that capacity. Now I'm in that authority figure role where people listen to me when I talk, but I'm still the redheaded stepchild of the medical community because there's no money in you being better. And everybody like big pharma, all I know, I'm getting into controversial ground of it, but that's what I fight against. Like, stop drugging people for everything. Like I try to find what's the root cause. Like your spine is the circuit breaker. And so I'm opening up the circuit breaker and going, oh, this one's out of place and this one's out of place. And people get better. And so people poo-poo this profession because we're thinking outside the box. We're taking care of the patient as a whole. And we're actually, you know, people go, oh gosh, chiropractors are witch doctors. I'm like, I'll take it. It used to really tick me off. And I go, no, I'll take it. Because with my education background, there's not a neurosurgeon in the world that I can't, oh, sorry about that. There's not a neurosurgeon in the world that I can't sit down with as a patient. And I have tons of them that are patients of mine that I can't sit down in the chair and talk to them on their level about what's going on, about the flow of, you know, what's going on with this nerve root and how much of the 200 million messages that are going through this one nerve root that are innervating the stomach. And that's why you're getting this acid reflux, because your brain's not talking to the acinar cells that are releasing hydrochloric acid, and you can't close that gastroesophageal valve because, you know, I love this. It's outside the box. It's not easy. Chiropractic school's certainly not easy, but it's just grit. I had every type of student in my chiropractic class, you know, but it's just grit. It's like anything else. If you want it, go do it. Anybody can learn anything. You want to be an astronaut, you can go be an astronaut. You know, it's just like how much effort do you want to put into, like, just study, make it a priority. And that's, you know, that's the toughest part. Make what you want to do a priority.
Yes.
Yeah. Rewarding. I mean, I got the best job in the world. Like I say it 10 times a week. I go, I crack up to myself when I'm walking somebody else. I go, this is my job. This is my job. This is what I get to do every day. You know, and yeah.
Well, I love that for you. I love that for your patients, and having you in Navarre's healthcare system has made it all of the better. So I would really like to thank you for taking out the time
Absolutely.
today to answer these questions. I truly enjoyed hearing about your journey and everything that's been a part of it. And yeah, I hope that students and community members alike will have a better understanding of chiropractic care and what it means to be a bone crushing chiropractor.
Nice.
Cool.
Thank you. Thank you. I second those emotions. I truly appreciate how very real you are during this video. I always want the students to hear the good, the bad, the ugly, the all of it, and the wonderful advice that you've given to them, to truly find out if you want to do something, get out there and shadow, see what you like, see what you
Yeah.
don't like. I love how the career path, it's rarely ever a straight line for anybody on how they finally find out what they want to do
That's true.
with
Yeah.
their future. So thank you. And thank you for sharing your personal story about your parents. I really do appreciate that. And I know that all the students watching this appreciate how truthful you are with your career. So thank you. And students who are watching this, remember, we've got plenty more career chat videos for you to see. We have all these 6 wonderful free student programs for you to participate in. And thank you for watching again today.